us. We pray for your presence with us. May you give us wisdom, guidance, and understanding as we undertake the work that you have placed upon our shoulders. We thank you for the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, and all members of Parliament in the opposition and in the government, and everyone in this House today. We pray for your presence to go before us. Thank you, Papa God, and we want to pray this prayer that you have taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Clerk, any petitions? Notices? Honourable members, question time. The Honourable, I recognize Honourable Governor for Central.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. My question without notice goes to the Minister for Petroleum, and I would like to ask the Prime Minister, Honourable James Marape, to take note. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I understand that in compliance with the Oil and Gas Act and the Umbrella Benefit Sharing Agreement, UBSA, for the PNG LNG project, ExxonMobil makes annual payments of the development levy to the wellhead, the pipeline, and the plant site provincial governments, and that these payments are calculated based on the previous year's prices. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I understand also that ExxonMobil makes these annual payments of the development levy and the royalties to the government of Papua New Guinea on the 30th day of January each year. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in this regard, I am reliably informed that the development levy for 2024, totaling 222 million kina for all the impacted provincial governments, was transferred to the government of Papua New Guinea on January 30th, 2024. Central provincial government has not received its share of the development levy to date. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in 2023, the Central Provincial Government received the development levy, a total of value of 34 million kina, in March. We are now 1 day away from June, and we have not received our share of the development levy, estimated at close to 30 million kina. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the delay in the transfer of these funds to the Central Provincial Government's operating account is having significant negative impact on the delivery of public goods and services to the people of Central Province, including the timely delivery of key impact projects appropriated in the 2024 budget, provincial budget. Mr. Deputy Speaker, my question without notice to the good Minister for Petroleum is, 1, what are the reasons for the delay in the disbursement of the development levy to the provincial government, Central Provincial Government? 2, when will the Central Provincial Government get its share of the development levy? And 3, could the Minister explain the process involved in the disbursement or the transfer of these funds once ExxonMobil pays the development levy into, or transfers that into, to the government of Papua New Guinea? And before I sit, Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity Me like kissing this opportunity to lo maki mouse blow. Members of the Provincial Assembly blow. Central Province, na people blow Central Province. Lo surukim bel story blow me play go lo people. Blow Mulitika LLG lo Pogera Enga Province. Especially the families were only losing or members of their families, lo this landslide. Nami also like Surukin Bel Sore go lo all people blow enga, now provincial leaders, governor lo enga, all provincial leaders me like too strong in all get a tok lo not a leader in make him ask the lo way blow. Look, lo help him all this line, but also in future, suppose he come up, this kind landslide or emergency come up, how you may by prepare or help him all people blame me. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Petroleum.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I'd like to thank the good governor for Central, the very good, important questions that she has asked. I'd like to thank her for that. Yes, I see the three questions are very important questions, and I would like to answer them in detail. So if I can ask her to put it down in question on notice paper and give it to me, I'll definitely respond to your question in writing to me. Also, before I get those things, I would like to say that to the governor through the chair, that these development levies are very important to all the provincial government, because they come under the agreement that the government has with the provincial government and other parties. And as long as I'm the Minister for as Minister for Petroleum, I will make sure that those funds are dispersed to the provinces and anybody that is entitled to it, whether it's province or to the LLGs or to the landowners who are affected in these provinces and the resource area. Point of order. So if I can ask the...
Honourable Minister, we have a point of order from the Deputy Opposition Leader. What's your point of order?
Deputy Speaker, the Honourable Governor has asked a very simple question about when the people of Central can expect to receive these benefits. So if the Minister could give an indication of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Opposition Leader. Your point of order is in order, but I think the Minister have responded that he will get it in notice from the Governor and respond in the other. So.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. If I can get it in writing, I will provide a detailed answer. Thank you.
The Honourable Governor for ECP.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Before I ask my question, I'd like to also extend the sincerest, heartfelt condolences of the people of Isipik to our people up in Mulitaka and Enga. I didn't get the opportunity yesterday. I was hoping for debate. But just to say that Mipla Olgada Kisim having a stop, but at the same time, Mipla thinking Mipla too. And let's hope that at some point we can figure out how to be ready for these situations in the future. Mr. Deputy Speaker, question blomi inogat toksabe mi like asking me go Prime Minister, also acting Treasurer. Prime Minister, you're very well aware of the hardships faced by our people due to the cost of living crisis. Now, I just wanted to demonstrate that in 2019, when we came into government and when you were installed as Prime Minister, Papua New Guineans, the lowest income earners, were earning 3 kina 50 an hour, and that equates to 28 kina per day. Even now, 5 years later, our lowest income earners are making 28 kina per day. This tin of fish, which most Papua New Guineans eat every day, low-income earners, used to cost 5 kina 50 in 2019. This morning, it's 7 kina 50 in Port Moresby. In other parts of the country, it's more than 7 kina 50. This packet of rice used to cost 4 kina 50. Today, it's 6 kina in Port Moresby, and in other parts of Papua New Guinea, in ECP, it's up around 7 kina. This packet of noodles used to be 80 toya. It's now 1 kina 20. Some parts, it's a kina 50. This packet of biscuits used to be 80 toya. It's now 1 kina 20 in Port Moresby. This constitutes what most Papua New Guineans eat at dinner time. If you add this up, if they have 2 meals a day, it's already more than the 28 kina that the low-income Papua New Guineans, our people, are making. All market mama, all is a down over the day, lo table market blow, just to get enough money to buy these very basic items. My questions are as follows. Number one, what fiscal initiatives has the government undertaken in the last 5 years to make these items affordable for our people? What initiatives you play Kisim Penisland? If not, what new initiatives do you have that will make these items affordable? Lol mama blo yumi sa hatok lo table market every day, nolin up lo baim na fidim ol pingni blol. Our future. If you have no immediate plans, or if you do have plans, could you tell our hard-working mothers sitting on the table market when you expect, is it end of this year, next year, or the year after, when do you expect that these items will be affordable for our hard-working mothers and our low-income earners? Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Me habumas long Governor Blog Disipik concern me raise him me concern Blog Display Side House too. And so me habumas good luck question blogger have given me opportunity. Long me reflect, long when I'm something people are walking coming up to Mr. Deputy Speaker. Lo talk lo English question blogger and me ask him long inflation how government he work long banishing inflation or price increase long of goods and services. Me must talk clear, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Also, government I pass, government yaw pass, government stop the song na work him nothing. No good. People are clear long heavy come up. Suppose me talk from up front. Global inflation average, let me stop on top long 7%. 7% average global inflation. Papua New Guinea long-running inflation average, let me stop above long 6%. Marape government running inflation stop underneath long 4%. The last 5 years. So I beg your pardon, stop on 5%. We repeat, global inflation, running average, long last 5 years, stop on top of 7%. Papua New Guinea's running average low inflation since 1975, and stop on top of 6%. Last 5 years, inflation underneath long leadership, long Pangu government, na coalition Blomipla. Which Governor Bed, you part long and now you all give me offering prime ministership, so you go outside minister. And now minister why I'll give you Nadla again, but anyway, Nadla story. And so I'll send house blow talk so talk blow talk. And so running average long 5 years, we play stop and below 5%. A minimum 1M. We play clear, na sensitive long effect of inflation to our people. And we have not been passive. We plan on passing mouse, passing hand, passing yell.
Honourable Prime Minister, we have a point of order. Honourable Governor, what's your point of order?
You stop using a line. Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Governor, you
Speaker.
You talk to the chair.
No, I'm throwing him, so me
Not to your colleague member.
Okay, me come out him. Sorry. One bell. This la packet biscuit, yeah. I mean 80 toya. Now I'm 120. Basic arithmetic, 50% increase. You talk average below 5%. 25% inflationary impact over 5 years. But this is a 50% increase. No. Almost everything. Thank you.
Honourable Governor, I think the Prime Minister is trying to get to explain your question. So your clarification will help Prime Minister to continue. So Prime Minister, continue.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, make clear some upside or sound of mathematics go through now. They all making good mathematics workers. Mipla no more sabe man se mol na mipla school mipla here. Mipla ino got more sabe se man. Taso mipla clear lo hardship lo man meri lo place to. Mi clear se one pla price lo biscuit iguanta mi clear. But when you look at the aggregate figure of inflation to the economy, that's the long-term running average. It's a long-term running average. And I'll come straight to the point. We have not been incognizant to the fact that it is tough times out there. What can we do when COVID-19 shut down the global economy that created and exacerbated double-digit inflation elsewhere? You look at Argentina, for instance, 200% inflation. That's a case in point. So we are not imbeciles running economy on this side. Some of us are not businessmen. We graduated through the school of hard knocks to be here, so we understand exactly what is the pain of the little man on the streets. That is why the governor asked him, you are working on him. Well, while the actual cost has increased, and I want to admit here that we have an issue with the price control element, and we have already passed instruction for a review, and the Minister, the Honourable Joseph Lelang, under his words, we're looking at the price control in a specific manner. But coming to the point, what have we done last 5 years to assist our people? Assist him or lig man meri, me like talk pisin. Because talk English here, you may confuse him or man meri to us. Plenty time you make it Facebook talk English na. Plenty no clear. Last 5 years, me plus have some hard time. Now me plus increasing, for instance, effort long all Papua New Guineans pay school fee blow beginning blow. You clear time 2020, COVID-19 come now, me plus rousing project fee away. So no longer today, Papua New Guinean parents pay project fee. No got ball paying project fee, one time tuition fee. Maybe also trauma go inside. Long halving below school, including higher education loan program, will give him more halving. On top of hackers and Texas, where Somali government start him, maybe trauma is go inside. Long help him and relieve him burden long Papua New Guineans. You know, it warmed my heart with joy when I attended the graduation at Unitec, and a single mother walked up to me and said, Mr. Prime Minister, I am a single mother from Chimbu originally. I am living in the settlements of Kimbe, and thank you for the higher education loan program. 3 years in a row, my son picked up 35,000 kina, completed engineering degree at University of PNG. Now, whilst people are not giving full help him, but I am now helping him. Over 35,000 Papua New Guinean children who have left universities since 2023 have benefited from over 130 million kina we passed on through the higher education loan program on top of hackers and TESAs. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, Mibla Rausim Takis long over 50,000 small toilets of economy, they're earning under 20,000 kina. No government before us has lifted the non-tax-based threshold to 20,000. The last was 12,500. The last was 12,500 when the only government lifted from then 7,500 around that benchmark to 12,500. We've lifted it to 17,500 once. We tested that. The burden on our people was still more. We've now entrenched that those who earn under 20,000, and guess what? Those who earn under 20,000 are those who go to the shop and buy trukai, buy the biscuit, buy the tin fish that you personally bring out. I hope you're eating those to yourself. They bring it out to our people.
Honourable Member for Bulolo, what's your point of order?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think the Honourable Governor Bedes tried to, one of the main questions here is, how can we put the price of the goods and services down? Simple food like this for our people. Thank you.
Honourable Member, I think the Prime Minister is still on explanation of this, so I'll allow Prime Minister to respond.
All right, so I'll round it to a conclusion. This is a serious question that is constructed to cast doubt in the minds of our people that this government is not doing anything on the economy. It sounds as simple as it is, but the dubiousness of this and the structure of the question is meant to go right in the heart of the minds of our people that we have not been working. Far from that. We have given incentive to our people.
Order. Opposition members, order. Let the Prime Minister respond to the question.
And so we've lifted the non-tax-paying threshold so that Papua New Guineans are assisted, especially the toilets of economy, only assisted, and they take in the effect of lifting non-tax-paying threshold to 20,000 means a Papua New Guinean family who was earning below the threshold takes home at least additional 60 kina back home with him or her. I want to also say that we have trialed lifting GST of essential household items. We've trialed that in 2022, if I'm not wrong, or 2023. We've tried, it's not 2023, but 2022, I think, lifting GST of essential household items. Me like Togam country, this is something that we want to seriously do. We have now invested money to IRC for the first time, and IRC is now in the middle of purchasing a system that is flexible enough for them so that when our people are struggling in hard times like this, we could simply remove 10% from essential household items like rice, tin piece, biscuit, petrol. Mibla try and finish long 2022, exactly what year me mind blooming or pick him now, but 2022 meeting also, Mibla try him. Now, Lorausim 10% GST away from essential household items. Also fuel, na all kai, basic kai, na all something below was, long all citizens. So, Mibla try this finish, Mibla give you now money long IRC. Hopefully by the end of this year, IRC system would be configured to have the flexibility so when inflation hits, IRC can be instructed, remove 10% GST off from essential household items. So these are control mechanisms that was not in place for many, many years. Knowing very well the hardship of our people, we have been building that. IRC has never received support before in a big way. Customs have never received support before in a big way. We've now given more support to IRC and Customs so that the system is dovetailed and tailored in a way that we could use our fiscal incentives that we are known for giving to ensure we stop price from increasing in a manner that is not consistent with revenue or income increase and control inflation. And if you ask me by any measure, globally speaking, if inflation is higher than 7% and PNG we are running at 5%, that is something that is not a full answer to our people, but an element of control on how best we could suppress unnecessary, uncontrolled, and exacerbated increase of prices, especially for essential household items. So, Mila giving belly see law country. Mila starting to work finish. Long time best law controlling price. I'm all right. I'm opposition is right law talk. But I am yet to see and hear and read from them on a practical step they will do to reduce inflation in our country. Going forward.
Point of order, Honourable Governor, what's your point of order?
There is a reason the people of Papua New Guinea pay him the largest amount of money of any member of parliament.
Yes,
there is a reason.
Yes.
He cannot pass the buck to the opposition when he controls all of the levers of state. That's like walk and blame him. He no blow opposition. You have the solutions. Show him. No can blame him opposition nothing. Do the job that the people are paying you for.
Yes.
Honourable Governor, your point of order is like you putting up a debate on the statement that Prime Minister is raising. So, Prime Minister, you still have, Prime Minister, we have another point of order. The Honourable Member Blow, Yalibu Pangia.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, Blamino, bit too much, but lick. Lick law, or some stoning totok blow, Governor. Governor, ask him rate law, inflation law, world or global inflation or Papua New Guinea inflation. I'm asking price blow kakai now, something like that. Now, pay on man Mary work like sin, and he's still down to us. Me expecting Prime Minister, talking this honorable house in our country, why the price controlling mechanisms are not in place? Where is the price controller these days? Now I'm asking question where the physical incentives and Prime Minister Nata Solentutoke and put in place. What are those physical incentives that he has put in place to help the businesses in the country, especially the manufacturing industry, who provide some of the biggest jobs, employment opportunities in the country?
Honourable Member of Yalibu Pangia.
No, but Mr.
Me ask me looking point of order.
You like clearing this point, the Prime Minister.
Honourable Member.
Specifically answering question, it's been asked of him.
Honourable Member, point of order. You've been start good. That's all. You go ask him question again. What the point of order? So I'll allow the Prime Minister to respond to the question.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's interesting that some of us are borderline between dementia. It wasn't too long we were in government. And it baffles me that someone who had the authority to be in government asking important questions. Mr. Deputy Speaker, on record, the last time minimum wages board said was 2014. Incomplete. The 350, the governor of East Civic race was a rate established in 2014. No review has been done. The new Labour Minister has now set and completed a review very soon. Very soon an adjustment to the minimum wage will be announced to our country. Mr. Speaker, I was coming to my conclusion, and friends on the other side wants to lecture me. And I don't take advice from the opposite. I take advice.
Order. Order.
Mr. Speaker, I ask simply because they need to pronounce the alternate to the country. It's not for me, but for them and for the country. You want to run country, you have to have your alternate established. And you sit stacked up in your deep backwaters. Huge experience of failure for our country. They failed this country. Right at the deep of opposition, they failed, and I'm amazed that the member for East Civic is able to find congruence in policy mindset with the opposite.
I disagree with everyone.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'll bring this to a conclusion.
We have a point of order. Member of FIN7.
I just want to remind the Prime Minister, when he refers to former governments, just like myself, he was part of the former government.
Yes.
We need to stop passing the buck and start fixing the problems. Stop blaming former governments. Thank you.
Honourable Member for FIN7, we'll take note of your point of order and allow the Prime Minister. Prime Minister,
all right,
you have taken up some minutes. I know the importance of this question. We still have only a few time, so I would ask you to wind up your answer to the question.
All right. Mr. Deputy Speaker, me like to sorry for taking plenty time. Suppose online, asking point of order. And but we finished long time. So you make a point of order, you make him talk again. So let me finish him now. Good luck question, Governor, you asking. I mean, no, wrong question. Price equal time. You may all got a peeling pen. And so me play no sit down nothing too. Time me play give more school fee help him. Me plan out try to adjust him system IRC so that he got flexibility. Anytime government can rouse him takis long essential or household item. Me also try him long 2020 me put him freight support. You letting him some time, me give him support lo ship. Lo carry cargo from Lake come long Port Moresby lo help him. Garden Kaikai instead of Kaikai where you importing come outside. So this freight support, let me start finish. Me like admitting must start stop and me come up, but when look more like this plus strong. Me revisit him now minimum wages board. Minister, me like commending Minister, the Honourable Casey Song, and me sit down, go inside, and me bring in triple party together finish. Only sit down and revisit him. It's like 3 kina 50 rate, long or lick man Mary, Judge Barabe, and picking it blow lick pay man Mary. And make him commitment. Make him commitment that this minimum wages board by adjust to the level of inflation and affordability for our economy. Talk one time employer federation, now employee associations we play close to by finish him, so that you can give him more help him. One kind of some people are him takis, long or lick workman Mary, only kiss him lick money low country. So government clear long heavy old man go through. Plenty all this cost for inflation too, imported inflation. We are doing our utmost best. Long time, lo hold him, all this price, long all goods and services no can go. Me like Mr. Speaker, finishing one is example. Today you go. Last time we appreciate member of Kerama, me sit down talk all this Governor of ECB can talk wrong something. Heavy troop country and me talk. Me platu lo this side, sa passing mouse tasol. Na kissing big pain around tasol noga. Me plus a talk lo walk to. Member of Kerama, Vice Minister Bloyimi, and me talking me. Prime Minister say today, one family now has to dig deeper, $1,000 more. $1,000 more than what they were paying earlier. Papua New Guinea too one time. Heavy stuff. But we talk about what we are doing and do more and do better.
The Honourable Deputy Opposition Leader, what's your supplementary question?
Deputy Speaker, the supplementary question to the Honourable Prime Minister, who's also the Treasurer, is why has it taken 5 years for us to continue to allow inflation to get out of control and currently create a cost of living crisis? When we're looking at the fiscal policy interventions, this government's spending too much money, borrowing too much money, and increasing the taxes. When you increase taxes and then you continue to spend and overspend, how do you expect inflation to drop? So a direct intervention that the government can take right now is to apply immediate austerity measures, stop the borrowing, and start funding targeted investments, and you're doing that. So what's your immediate plan to reduce the cost of living crisis that the people of Papua New Guinea are currently experiencing? The reality doesn't match the rhetoric. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, me Hamas Law Member of Suave, Deputy Opposition Leader, I'm asking this question. I'm bla talk, me talk, me bla increasing taxes. This bla no true bla talk, me bla increasing tax. In the last 5 years, I have been in government. The Pangu-led government has not increased baseline tax for our people. Far from that, we have removed tax from our people. We will remove tax from our people. GST remains at 10%. Non-tax-paying threshold has now been uplifted to 20%. I cannot speak at a clearer English than this. I don't know, some of you who are school overseas and you know English better than some of us. I just don't know what sort of language I can use, but on record, we lifted no tax threshold for our citizens. We removed tax. That's on record. Do comparing. On record also, borrowing. Fiscal responsibility is a signature of this government. We're now approaching a fiscal consolidation pathway. The last 3 years, deficit declined by $1 billion each. You ask the opposite sitting there, deficit trend of the past government, 8 years of deficit trend. Last 3 years, we restructured the economy and we have had fiscal consolidation. Actual Kina borrowing declined by $1 billion Kina each.
Honourable Prime Minister, your point of order.
Correcting Prime Minister, that's all. Only restructuring budget, only no restructuring economy. So could you just take that correction?
I'll allow the Prime Minister to complete the response. Prime Minister.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, the final budget outcomes is on public website. Final budget outcomes is on public website. Final budget outcomes of 2013 right to 2023. The last 10 years is for all of us. Just don't believe in Facebook. Go and read substantial document that is out there, which everyone reads. And I point to the final budget outcomes of our own country. You look at percentage of budget delivery. You look at deficit trend. You look at debt profiling, whether it's concessional debt field, final budget outcome returned, or commercial deficit, commercial debt stacked up FBO in the successive years we've had. The economic characteristics of my government in the last 5 years, the Pangu-led government, was shifting away from recklessness of the past, reconstructing the economy. Yes, there were additional debts we took, but to refinance expensive commercial aspect of borrowings the previous government was prone to have taken. And we now, you look on record, 2021, 2022, 2023, 3 years of consistent actual Kina, $1 billion Kina removal of our deficit right up until today. We are cognizant of tough times we're living in today. We are responsibly constructing an economy that will come back to surplus budget by 2027. And I want to give assurance to the member for Suave as well as to our people that hard time we play clear, we will try best to assist him economy, lo this time we go through. And good things will not take 1 or 2 years. Good things will take 5, 6, 7 years. And we have worked and we put a rescue package for our country under the leadership of the Honourable Ian Staki. Hopefully, if you come into government, you walk this path through. And hopefully, in the 20... Hopefully, Hopefully, the 2030s, this country will see the journey that we have started in 2019. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Governor for Morobe.
Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, thank you for giving me the leave to ask some question to the Honourable Prime Minister of this country. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when Parliament passed the organic law on integrity of political parties...
Honourable Governor, my apology, I interrupt you. The opposition have distracted my mind and I don't hear the question you're directed to the Prime Minister. Go ahead, Governor.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I direct my question to the Prime Minister of the country. Deputy Speaker, when Parliament passed the law on integrity of political parties, the principal reason was to make sure that there is stability in the parties, and also to make sure that those people who get elected to the parties remain in the party. So there is a stability in the party, there is a stability in the government, within government, to run this nation. Now, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I asked a question to the Prime Minister as the Prime Minister and the leader of the Pangu Party. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Supreme Court, by the former member for North Fly Fly government, Honorable Bob Danaya at the time filed a Supreme Court on the constitutionality of that law. And the Supreme Court ruled, among other things, that the members will vote, raise questions that against the members of the party will vote for the Prime Minister based on the resolution of the parties. He challenged that was contrary to Section 45 of the Papua New Guinea Constitution, freedom of conscience. He filed that, among other questions, and the Supreme Court agreed that the Prime Minister should not be voted on the basis of the party resolutions. It must be voted on the basis of the exercising of the conscience of the members, individual members who are members of the Parliament. The Supreme Court has ruled that. Other provisions of that law was ruled unconstitutional, unable to tell this Parliament, but the section which remained, in my humble view, is the section on the resignation of members of the Parliament, that if they choose to leave the party for whatever reasons, they must resign from that party. They must resign. As for Pangu, I know that you have to tender the resignation to the Pangu executive, and the Pangu executive will decide to expel you or not. That is the law as far as I know. Now what we've got in this Parliament now, on the face of vote of no confidence motions coming and then going and then coming, and the camps building up on that side, we've got Pangu on the other side, and on Pangu on that side, and I'm just thinking, what is happening? What is happening? It's like Pangu challenging Pangu. Is that good for this country?
Honourable Governor, we have a point of order.
The point of order is that, could the good governor ask the question? What is the question? Is meandering a little bit and taking up question time.
Well, it's a question is asking.
Honourable Governor, I think the honourable member's point of order is in order. Can you get straight to the question that you
That is why,
like to answer?
with due respect to the governor, a member for Iri, who is also a lawyer as myself, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm asking the question to the Prime Minister. It's not good for this nation, and I'm asking this question. It seems like Pangu challenging the Pangu. Can you clarify the party's position as to whether the members shifting from government from your side, our side, and over there, not clearing, consistent with the organic law and provincial, integrity of political parties, they're not clearing themselves, and yet they're doing this thing. Is that good for this country, Mr. Prime Minister?
Yeah. It's not only go back for future.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Thank you, long Governor Songan Wenge, the Honourable Songan Wenge, will ask him this very important question. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I think that one of the fundamental tenets of our Constitution that was upheld in the Danaya ruling, I may be wrong, but I just want to say that it's Section 50 rights of individuals and members of Parliament. That's Section 50 rights of individuals and members of Parliament. So in that envelope of an individual leader's right, certain members of Parliament felt that they should not be on the government side, and they choose to sit on the opposite side. Mr. Deputy Speaker, that is totally and entirely their individual choice. But in respect to the application of the organic law on the integrity of political parties and candidates, we're getting our lawyers to look into what this may mean in respect to the application of our Pangu Party constitution within the context of the OLIPEC law. And once those advice come through, the internal party process will take its course. But on record as I speak, the leaders, respectfully, they are members of Parliament. We give them respect. They have their own Section 50 rights to sit on which side of the House. That respect must be accorded at all time. And we hold no grudges. They are leaders in their own right. They made their choices to sit on opposite to us. And in due course, the party will expect them to follow the due process to ask whether they choose to remain as part of the party or they will exit party. But on record today, none of them whatsoever have submitted an expression of interest to resign from the party. The party is bigger than James Marape. The party is bigger than anyone. The party will live on. It is the party that bettered this country. No other party will hold that record. And for those of us who are here, we owe it to the future of the party to follow decorum, follow due process, uphold the constitution of the party, and uphold the laws of our country to ensure Pangu's placement, not just today but into the future, is never sabotaged by individual play for power. We will work, and the party executives have written to all of us. Later this evening, we have a Pangu Party Parliamentary Wing Council. Members opposite who have decided to sit opposite are invited to attend the Pangu Party Council, the Pangu Party meeting. It is their right to attend because they still are members of the party, and they could tell us what went wrong, what happened. We're not immune to be told as to what happened, but I want to assure the governor and the people of Morobe that Pangu Party leadership remains. Pangu Party due process will be followed in as far as our constitution is concerned. It is a party that is better organized than most. It is a party that is not personalized with one person. It is a party that will live beyond James Marape's time as party leader. It is a party that we are proud to be associated with, and in the time that we are here, all of us will be submissive to our party constitution, will be submissive to the OLIPEC law, and of course, with respect to our brothers on the other side, they have responded in respect within the rights of Section 50 in our Constitution, and it is entirely up to them, resignation or together, something that they will choose. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Supplementary question. Honorable.
Governor for Morobe asked a question about the provisions of the OLIPEC law, which were struck down by the Supreme Court as unconstitutional. Those provisions, before they were struck down by the Supreme Court, were there to solve a problem on the operation of political parties in this country. And when the Supreme Court struck it down, those problems re-emerged again. Now we are living through those problems again right now, this red-hot minute. So this is where there's a need for us to look at that part of the OLIPEC law and have it rewritten again to conform to other parts of the Constitution. The problem is still there. So I've spoken about this when I was previously in government, that we should look at rewriting it to make it conform with the other parts of the Constitution. So can I ask if there has been any work in progress with a view to reintroducing those provisions but written in another way to bring in some discipline? The parties must be given strength in this country. When you erode the strength of the party system and it becomes an individual choice, it's more chaotic to manage than if we're dealing through the party structure. So we have to relook the role of parties in this country. Again, that vacuum is also leading to the cannibalization and death of small parties, like the one I'm a member of. I bring in members from out there during the election through hard work, only to be robbed of my membership by the larger parties, especially those in government. So it's killing off the party system. So we need to reintroduce those provisions to protect the small parties, protect the party system as a whole, avoid situations like this. So can the Prime Minister give us some assurances that some work is going to be done to reintroduce those parts? And perhaps the Attorney General should also take note of this, and both of them should give us some solutions, because the problem is still there. Yesterday we wasted a lot of time on the Christian bill. There's no problem with our Christianity, Mr. Speaker.
Member,
this is where our problem is.
Honourable Member, you already asked your supplementary question. I can't allow you to go debate more further on that. I'll allow Prime Minister to respond to your supplementary.
All right, Mr. Deputy Speaker, me tokam mas long member of sine me ask him important supplementary question. Long side law make him a law long banisimo member. Make a try bring him slowly pack law come inside. Constitution review he come up now. Supreme Court he overturning certain parts of that aspect of our constitution. that law. Me like Tokol said, Mipla too making work, but there's a borderline between infringing on members' individual right. I think something that I will never compromise is right of members to have their own conscious call on what they want to do. This is the gift of our Section 50 in our Constitution. Now, suppose you exercise in this law good, members can create instability in me like him. Mipla no robbing one member or joining Mipla per se as borrowing word long member of no one robbed a member of parliament to join one party. Members exercise their God-given freedom of choice as encapsulated under Section 50 to sit here or sit there. And at the end of the day, it is really what is in your inner man that decides where you are seated. No amount of rope will tie a leader down. No amount of law will tie a leader down. And I don't think it is right for this parliament to structure laws that will tie down members. There must be enough levers in our laws to allow members their freedom of choice, but at the same time provide stability of administration and governance in our country. We on this side are not reckless. We have the numbers to try to amend, to change things for the betterment of stability, but we want to do it correctly so that we don't compromise individual freedom of members and we don't compromise good governance and sanity of leadership. We cannot give one power to someone to abuse, even into the future. That is something that we're finding a fair and fine balance so that democracy is maintained in its fullest, giving respect. And at the heart of democracy is really individual's choice. And I want to give assurance to this House, whilst we look at all the aspects of law to make it entrench stability, really at the end of the day, stability is in the heart of each member of parliament. You only have to ask members who had dignity and honor in the 1980s and 1990s, even when there was no DSIP, even when there was no PSIP, even when there was no organic law on political parties and candidates, they choose to remain faithful to their party of origin. And that's something that we must construct. I look forward to the recommendations from the member for Sine. You're one of our most brilliant MPs in both sides of the House. If you feel that this should be contributed upon, please, by all means, contribute in writing. Let's work together as a bipartisan. We are approaching 50th anniversary of our nation. We know the hindsight weaknesses. Let's construct a better foresight for our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member, and our question time have already lapsed, and I will not allow for a point of order. Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Is leave granted? Aye. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that so much of the standing orders be suspended as would prevent the Prime Minister presenting a statement.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no. Ayes have it. The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to thank yourself and the Parliament for allowing me to have this moment to address the People's House one more time. Today, Mr. Speaker, is exactly 5 years to the moment I made my maiden speech in this Honourable House as the Prime Minister of our country. It was this moment 5 years ago, May 30th, 2019, when we took office, the Pangu government took office, and the country is entitled to know what we have done in the face of many contrasting views out there in the public space. When we took office, our major focus, in fact our core focus, was empowering and growing not just one part of our country, especially in the urban areas for the urbanites, but more importantly, growing the rural economy and our rural people where super majority of our people are and are still living up till today. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask your indulgence and the Parliament's indulgence. It's going to be quite a lengthy statement. I'll try to be succinct. The Parliament...
Point of order. With respect to the PM, could we have copies? Thank you. Before he continues, since it's lengthy, we may need the benefit of the actual document.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I speak.
The Honourable Governor, for speak on your point of order and regarding to the statement. This is a statement by the Prime Minister. Since then, the House has requested for the copy. We will allow to make a statement. Benefit of what statement is being, but then the House have already allowed Prime Minister to make this.
It's being run, and it will be in circulation for every member of Parliament. I want to appreciate the reminder. Mr. Speaker, scorecard of this government or any government is important for us to be transparent to our people. It has been 5 years since we took office. Some say there have been no achievement. I beg to differ. But our people must know what we have done and how we are progressing. What we have done is foundational, and its impact will come in time. We are dealing with issues in totality and not in a haphazard manner to achieve one outcome, and that is a better Papua New Guinea. We are laying down strong building blocks under difficult circumstances. We inherited an economy that was poorly managed. On record, not James Marape's statistics. You look at final budget outcome 2018, we were negative 3% in recess. That's the economy we took over from. But we are picking up. We've looked at key fundamentals that must ensure we rise up and get going and move on and get our country moving into the right direction. But as we were going on, just by reminder, we faced the COVID-19 pandemic. It came upon us suddenly in 2020. We faced the Russia-Ukraine war, came upon us. Lately, the Israel conflict, the Middle East conflicts. Why am I raising these issues? We're not an isolated economy. We live in a globalized trading economy. Inflation externally has its impact in our country too. And so I want to present to this House the report of what we have done based on our government's policy. When we went to the elections in 2022, we were already in office almost 3 years, and our people retained the Pangu government in a big way. The last time there was a higher number. In fact, the highest number was Somare's, Grand Chief Michael Somare's 52 members returned in 1982. Under the organic law of political parties and candidates, Pangu coalition retained a Pangu majority of 39 MPs, Mr. Speaker. If that is something to go by, it indicates that people resonate well with our pro-rural based policy and our pro-PNG focused economic policies that we have. And we owe it to our people. If not, to the dismay of those in the opposite, but we owe it to our people to explain properly what we have done. And so our people can decide and understand. I want to begin by stating the state of economy, a common conversation that we all talk about later on. And of course, as I advance on, I will be talking about education, health, law and order, infrastructure, and other aspects of our progress of work that we have done. Mr. Speaker, on the state of economy, I must admit from outset, I understand clearly our people are doing it tough out there. And the presentation by Governor Baird this morning on the price of goods and services is not out of place. It is a real indication of the struggle our people are going through. And finding solution is something we must all do for our people. Mr. Speaker, Our families are struggling to put food on the table. Our parents are struggling to pay for the cost of their children's health and education. Food costs and household costs have increased quickly over the last 2 years, and I am admitting this. As any responsible government, we must make admissions so that we make interventions for the better going forward. From available information, living standards today, and I just want to put this out so everyone have a read on this. This is from the information we have in government. From available information, living standards today are 38% lower than that at independence. And anyone would be unhappy with this one, including myself. As I set out our economic achievements, let me be clear that these are in the context of turning the MV PNG around. We were badly, of course, from about 2012, 2013, right up till 2019. We were still in a bad place when COVID-19 hit us in 2020. But we are restructuring. We are working. We are now, we're not even there yet. We're still a long, long way from the destination we wanted. But the ship has turned and turned in the right direction. In this scorecard, I will set out how we have turned the ship around and where we are heading now, especially in the right economic direction we want our country to sail into. We have made good progress. We have made progress despite the headwinds of worst global pandemic in a century, despite the wars that is happening elsewhere, despite the uncertainty in Middle East that has a link to oil price that affects us also. We also know that families are struggling. But we have deliberately used our fiscal policy tools before us to try our very best to contain an economy that would have gone haywire if we made no intervention. The clearest demonstration of the ship turning around, for instance, whilst the quantum mention of an economic growth is not an answer to an individual's problem, but at the macro level, I just want to indicate, for instance, when we took office in 2019 on record, IMF statistics, World Bank statistics, our own central government statistics, central bank statistics, and treasury statistics confirm we had an economy of 79.6 billion kina in 2018 rather. We took over in 2019, it expanded. In 2023 rather, our economy was 111 billion kina economy. This year it is forecasted that it will be 122.5 billion kina economy, a 43 billion kina higher economy in the last 5 years. If it had taken the first 44 years of our nation's life to grow economy to a 79 billion kina in 2018-2019, it has taken 43 billion kina in 4 hard years. 4 hard years and 5 hard years to post this growth. This came at the backdrop of responsible fiscal policy adjustments by our government. In 2023, for instance, the GDP was 31.9 billion kina above 2018 level. In 2022, it was 31.8 billion kina above 2018 level. In 2021, it was 12.2 billion kina above 2018 level. Each of these differences represents additional production, additional earnings that our economy makes each year above what we had in 2018. Over the whole 5 years, the government, when you add it up, the accumulation to our national economy is 43 billion kina. We are now sitting above 111 billion kina economy. That means economic opportunity is much in 2019 or 2018. This has been driven by real improvements in the economy. Real growth was averaging at 2.8%, 2.6%. I repeat, non-resource real growth in economy was averaging at 2.6%. Despite COVID-19, and in 4 years prior, it averaged at 0.07%. 0.7%. And this is without COVID. Since COVID ended, and in 2022, the first year post-COVID-19, we've posted 5.2% growth in the non-resource sector of GDP. We estimated that it will stay strong. The growth will be was above 4.5 in 2023 and 4.7 as we estimate for 2024. This means one thing, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that production in the agricultural sector and production in the other sectors outside of mining and petroleum has been steadily increasing in the last 4 years. And that is consistent with the Pangu Party coalition focus. We have to shift our focus away from over-reliance on the extractive sector. Our sector in the non-resource sector is where our people are, especially the rural people of our country. That is where the coffee, copra, cacao, vanilla, that is where they are. And that is the focus of our government. Our price support and other interventions we made were geared towards lifting the non-extractive sector of our economy. The combined extra economic surplus over 5 years provides a new opportunity for jobs and investment. And you all know my definition of job. It is not just a fortnightly income, but people having money in their pocket. For every kina we have taken out of debt, our economy has increased more than fourfold. For every kina in debt, more than 80% has gone directly in infrastructure investments and investments with returns on the economy of over 300%. And for every kina in debt, we have financed at the cost of everything less than half the cost of former government, despite increasing the global interest rates. Mr. Speaker, something that we embarked upon was the strategy of accessing cheaper concessional financing backed by credible economic policies. Means interest rates over $1 billion kina every year is coming down. Means that we're reinvesting the savings of what would have been interest rate into infrastructures, into health, into education, into law and order. And if you look at how our allocation has been the last 5 years, we have been increasing our actual budgets from where it was before 2018 and where we are today in 2024. These positive economic growth figures are not, we posting does not make me deny the fact that struggles of our families are real, but they demonstrate that we are changing the course. And when the economy at the macro level gets stronger, gets bigger, then we have shown ability to subsidize our people where they're feeling the pinch the hardest. And as the economy in the quantum at the macro level gets bigger, I want to give assurance to our people that this government will continue to give subsidy to our people, especially at the buses, at the shop, at the school fee paying moments. We will still carry and assist, carry the cost. Mr. Speaker, cost of living has gone up. Cost of our living standard has also, we are understanding clearly the hardship that our people experience. I want to assure this House that the fiscal repair through government policy we've done is to ensure that we assist the economy and assist our people going forward. This government has a very credible fiscal program going forward that embraces reducing deficits, paying down our debts. That's what our 13-year budget repair plan is all about. In 2019, for instance, we quickly secured additional financing to cover a 2.3 billion kina deficit blowout that exposed our economy and our government's vulnerability then, and that went into supporting our budget to ensure we work to steady the ship. In 2020, when the global pandemic hit us, that reduced government revenue by 2.5 billion, government expenditure was held to initial budget focus so that we don't stifle spin of liquidity in the economy. This was despite absorbing 508 million in COVID-19 direct expense, and possibly this would be the only country, if not I'm wrong, a country that exercised strict fiscal discipline in the face of COVID-19 that could have caused us to go and be a little bit unresponsible. In 2021, the fiscal deficit outcomes was 6.4 billion kina, below the focus of budget at budget time at 6.6 billion. This represents what I mentioned earlier, a decline in the deficit of our country as we took responsibility. In 2022, the budget deficit became 5.8 billion, once again below the focus of 2022 budget at 5.9 billion. In 2023, the focus was a budget deficit of 4.9 billion, 4.985 billion, but in 2023 final budget outcome, we had a deficit of 4.935 billion, 50 million kina less in as far as deficit was concerned. Again, seeking to fiscal consolidation, meaning a decline in deficit, or down in dina money goran. So triple year in a row, mibla down in dina goran. Slashing. You go on top, but mibla slashing dina goran again. So that Yimi can come back, lotok pisin of the surplus budget by 2027. Money from country Yimi raise him, but no got need lo dina money, but Yimi run him. Back and back dina lo pass, na run him want the actual cash. So since 2019, time mibla restructuring economy, 2020 time COVID-19 hit him mibla, na up him dina guanta for more than 2.5 billion. Now you may start cutting dina come down. By 2027, we will reduce it down to no borrowings, no dina, and purely operating budget long cash you generating. Now you may start then, we will start to repay our dinners going forward into the future. This is what we envisage. Our debt to GDP ratio in 2021 was 52.6%. Today, in 2023, as we closed last year rather, it was 52%, 0.6% less. And as we go on into the future, by 2029, if we go on this path, then we'll hit 35% debt to GDP. And when Papua, PNG, LNG, and every other reforms that we are doing to the economy matures to earn yield from these investments, I expect in the 2030s, whoever is in government, we would have passed on a stronger economy with strong economic fundamentals to that government. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, me like talk also, one of the people heavy staff lo yet and foreign exchange shortage. Now me like make him legally talk all of this. Government knows the foreign exchange shortage are the greatest barrier, one of the great barriers of doing business in our country. That problem has become entrenched since the previous government, which I was part of, we took decision to artificially peg the kina in 2014. And it artificially increased the value of kina by 20%. Artificially increased the value of kina by 20%. Government had acted, and we are acting. We've identified a problem, and we are working to fix this. This had to be corrected as a critical first step. The government established early in 2021 an independent advisory group to recommend changes to the Central Banking Act. That report later that year led to a major change in the Central Bank Act. Before that reform, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Central Bank Governor was the most powerful man running the economy of our country. He had reported to no one, and if he chose to drink and relate in a pub with the Prime Minister of the day, he will choose to relate, and they construct a policy at their whims. And so we made this little reform. We introduced this little reform at the recommendations of the independent advisory group.
Honourable Prime Minister, we have a point of order.
This is a very important statement to the nation. The Prime Minister should be serious about what he's addressing, because our people are listening. Don't personalize issues and tarnish people's name who cannot defend themselves in this house. And stop misleading, making misleading statements such as artificially pegging the kina. No government in the history of this country has ever had a policy of artificial pegging of the kina. No government. You know very well that the monetary policy is a responsibility of the central bank independently.
Only your government started interfering.
Honourable member for Yalbu Pangia.
Just stick to the facts
Honourable
and
member.
deliver a statement that a country deserves to hear from their Prime Minister.
Honourable member for Yalbu Pangia, your point of order was in order as you started your point of order. I will ask the Prime Minister to refrain from other statement as you have said and continue on with I cannot allow you to debate again on the statement. Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, thank you for the reminder. The government knows that we're going through hard times. Central Bank has a critical role to play in our economy. The work in tandem of monetary policy and fiscal policy assists the economy to be stable and to be progressive. The structure of Central Bank we had before was something that was confirmed by the Independent Advisory Group. And mind you, the Independent Advisory Group, Mr. Speaker, we choose to engage with our partners, personalities who are very experienced in the Central Bank. The late Sir Wilson Cummit, for instance, Professor or Chancellor Robert Igara, and there was a third person in that advisory group. 3 senior Papua New Guineans did a review and they recommended that it's about time we put competency at the board, and we have a board that has oversight in the central bank and oversight to the governor. So that recommendations came in. We made changes to the Central Banking Act that this Parliament passed, and we've now appointed a competent and, mind you, for the first time, a female governor who rose up from the ranks, who have worked over 30 years in the bank. Mrs. Genia is now the governor of the bank, but the governor doesn't work on her own now. The governor reports, and governor reports to the board, and the board oversights on the functionality of the bank. I want to say, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that today as I speak, we have the highest ever foreign reserve in our central bank. On record, this would be the highest our country has ever had, over 3.956 million, 3,956 million or 3.9 billion US dollar in the central bank. This is enough to cover 10 months of import, well above the international benchmark of 3 to 6 months. Bank of PNG is using this high level of reserves and supports the government's financing program to inject more foreign exchange in the market. Indeed, in 2023, for instance, Bank of PNG injected over $1.6 billion into the foreign exchange market, worth nearly $6 billion. This is a massive level of funding support in just 2023 to solve the foreign exchange shortage, contrary to what many may say, almost equivalent to a combined budget in health and education of $6.2 billion in 2023. There was huge backlog of forex, and Mr. Deputy Speaker, I just want to indicate to this House, Central Bank has been clearing this backlog. By the end of March 2024, outstanding forex orders of more than 2 months old for trade goods and services has fallen by 46 million. This is a much better result than expected. We are on track to get rid of backlogs on foreign exchange orders, on traded goods by 2025, and on dividends by 2026, and return to Kina full convertibility by 2027. Mr. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, I want to talk about jobs and income. Supporting growth in the economy has been our agenda, and with real targets on growth, especially in the non-resource sector, to average about 5% per annum, is more specifically has been our focus, for instance, on jobs and income. There has been 7% growth in the formal sector employment since the impacts of global COVID-19 pandemic, after a 10% fall in Bank of PNG index of the formal sector employment from 175 in 2014 down to 158 in 2018, and then down to 153 during COVID-19. Employment growth has resumed, and the index has increased to 164, a gain of 7%. And this is central bank statistics. This is only formal employment sector in the private sector. This is only from the formal employment in the private sector. This only covers 1 in 20 jobs. Most of our jobs are not 9-to-5 jobs. Most of our jobs are work done, such as mothers selling goods at the markets to raise kina for our family. This is known as the informal sector. However, we have little information on how that sector is performing because they do not complete the business surveys and they usually are not in the paying tax cycles or in the superannuation. We only collect figures in the informal sector during census. I hope and pray that all of us support the census that is upcoming very, very soon. One of our priorities going forward as part of our jobs and income strategy is to get better data on all aspects of economic activity and employment. I want to say, however, we know that in the infrastructure sector, statistics have shown that we have created tens of thousands of jobs. We know that we are employing more teachers and health workers and police while cutting back on administrative positions in Waikani. And we do know that we are creating new options for our youths in seeking work in other countries, earning higher income, supporting their families and returning home to invest in small businesses. Lately, over 3,000 have been employed under our labor mobility programs, and this program will expand initially to cover about 8,000 by 2025. Mr. Speaker, many have been talking about state-owned enterprises. I want to announce to us that restructure and transformation in the state-owned enterprises are going on as we speak. We have targeted to receive over 1.6 billion kina, a program loan from ADB to assist address our state-owned enterprises to ensure power blackout is eliminated and other essential sectors that we need to do intervention on is done upon. I want to say these reforms are to improve SOE overall, and the overall contract available between the overall contract and the work that the state enterprises are doing, in my view, have resulted in SOEs in 2023. Their production and contribution to state has increased. My note here tells me current investment stands between 300. Rather, let me read this again. These reforms are to improve the SOE and overall contract investment, which currently stands between 300,000 and to 10 million. It has resulted in increased annual financial contribution of the SOEs in 2023, with 643 million in community service obligations, 1.2 billion in government tax, and 78 million in dividend payments, an increased employment base of 6,379,000 Papua New Guineans, 6,379 Papua New Guineans. This SOE includes Kumul Minerals, Kumul Petroleum, and all our state-owned enterprises put together. Mr. Speaker, all of you know, I want to speak in succinct. Our work on Pogra, new Pogra mine has commenced in December 23, 2023, and we are now sitting at 51% ownership of the new Pogra mine. That includes all state and PNG beneficiaries, and the Pogra mine is operating. Final round of mine development contract negotiations has been going on. MRA has been up to this task. I want to also indicate to the Parliament that Octari, it is announced that Octari now will have additional 20 years of life, and project CDA review will soon come up. We'll be working with Western Provincial Government and Octari landowners for this review next year, and that will cover the 20-year of extension from Octari mine. Papua LNG, I want to announce to our country, consultations are still running. Total Energy and ExxonMobil haven't indicated abandonment of the project. The FID has been shifted to 2025 because of the cost blowout in EPC contracts that have tendered in. These cost blowout dynamics have resulted in Total, the project manager, deferring FID by 1 more year for further tender of especially construction in the upstream sector. I want to announce to our country, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that negotiations on PNG has reached an MOU level. We have a memorandum of understanding with ExxonMobil, a better MOU that secures our country total economic benefit over 60%. I want to announce that we have last night did the signing in the PNG condensate project, I beg your pardon, Pasca condensate project, which now again consistent with our Pangu Party view on taking back more from our resources. The MRDC and Gulf Provincial Government sits at 50% and our investors sits at 50% ownership of the Pasca project. It is a project, Mr. Deputy Speaker, we're looking to advance the downstream processing sector in our country, especially in the petroleum byproducts. Mr. Speaker, I want to announce to our country, conversation has shifted to wildebeest, what could possibly be a big LNG find in the southeast part of Gulf of Papua. Mr. Speaker, in the forestry sector, I want to say and admit from our front, is a sector that has not progressed substantially in a big way. Our focus on downstream processing remains. State is yet to fully utilize the state marketing option to ensure we buy logs from those who are permitted operators and move into downstream. But it's a sector that we have increased tax in a couple of budgets ago with the thought to shift them into downstream processing. We've now reduced the tax and we're working with the sector, asking them if they could partner government, work with government to move into downstream processing of logs in our country for export. Similarly, likewise, in the fishing sector, we are focused in ensuring that all cats in our country are brought into our country for processing. Fishing sector is a big sector that has been underutilized, or focus has not been placed properly in the administration of the Non-Tax Administration Act of 2022. Fishing sector contributed, for instance, over 200 million kina revenue to the state, but we believe that that sector is a sleeping giant. I want to commend Minister Jalta Wong in his focus, Minister Maru in the focus for bringing all cats on shore. Our work at PMI Jet is moving. We want to make PMI Jet a hub of all fisheries processed in country and processed fish to be exported. This is the long-term focus of our government and our country. We must make this migration at the very earliest. I want to speak on agriculture. Our emphasis on agriculture remains. This is where 90%, if not 80% of our people are. We all eat and sustain our life out of agriculture. And our government is more focused in this sector because our people are in agriculture already. Output contributions to the national economy has improved by 35% in between 2018 to 2022. The sector performance in 2023 remains steady despite disruptions in global and domestic economy. Production output for major crops during 2023, for instance, has remained comparatively flat over the last 5 years, but in my view, poised to be increased as new crop areas is established by government. And I want to encourage all of you in the provinces and in the districts. This is where our people engage. We are pro-agriculture government. We are pro-livestock government. Please, where you can help, if you got land available, work with the lands department and let's unbundle our rural people and migrate them from subsistence agriculture into actually cash agriculture for them to earn their living and their country to also earn from the productivity in the agricultural space. We're reviewing legislations in the oil palm sector, rubber sector, and the livestock sector to ensure that the legislations are updated and to make production easy, market easy, export easy, and earnings easy. Mr. Speaker, on climate change, we are looking at climate change from an income perspective also, and not just a conversation. We're working with other governments out there, especially those who have big carbon footprints, to assist in the climate change policy. Some of you would recall that, for instance, the French government partnership has linked to us sourcing over $100 million into conservation And this, in my view, is something that needs to be tapped into bigger. We've started a journey. That journey must go on in the right place. Mr. Speaker, let me now go to the transport and infrastructure sector. In the last 4 years, we've worked. We've not just been sitting down doing nothing, including paying off funds from contracts issued by the government we took over from. We also have been investing in infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, over the last 4 years, transport and infrastructure program under phase 1 of Connect PNG infrastructure program 2020 to 2026, we financed and delivered on key grid and off-grid projects such as, and in the power sector, for instance, we've delivered on key on-grid and off-grid projects such as Ramu, Daru, Finsafen, Maprik, Vanamo, Aitape, Buka, Arawa grids under the National Electrification Rollout Program and finance have comments also in the Ramu Transmission Grid, Kimbe Electrification Project, Port Moresby Grid, Markham Valley Solar Project under the PNG Electrification Program. So infrastructure all is part of our infrastructure conversation. We have completed Tranche 1 of the Sustainable Highlands Highway Investment Program. Mr. Speaker, I realize the circulation of my speech is running through. I'm at page 12 right now. And we have successfully delivered the CADIP, or Civil Aviation Development Investment Program, CADIP-1, and maintained and upgraded 72 airstrips. About 80% of those rural airstrips we have in our country under Rural Airstrip Rehabilitation Program. We have signed an MOU of $580 million or $1.2 billion to fund a 30-year port infrastructure development program. We've successfully completed the 2015 to 2022 state-owned enterprises reforms and established the National Energy Authority, passed the Digital Government Act of 2022. Mr. Speaker, let me focus a little bit on MDDP Connect PNG. Under the MDDP-4, the Connect PNG program now includes development of other enabling economic infrastructures, Mr. Speaker. It's not just road, it includes maritime, aviation, electrification, information and communication technology, water and sanitation. This is to improve PNG's aging and poor infrastructure and create a properly integrated economic infrastructure system to improve connectivity and improve services such as health, education, and transform PNG into a modern middle-income economy by 2030s, or in the 2030s. In 4 years, a total of $4.5 billion was spent, including $700 million in payment areas to outstanding contracts. About 2,400 kilometers of existing national highways have been rehabilitated, 400 kilometers of missing links, 4,450 kilometers of provincial and district roads have been rehabilitated. This includes 93 bridges on national priority highways and 70 bridges on rural roads. As part of $4.5 billion in expenditure, contractors for the construction of missing links and existing roads under phase 1 of the program in Morobe, Gulf, Central, Medellin provinces, connecting Highlands Highway, and expected to be complete by June. West Highway, I think East-West Highway, it's possibly in the East-West Pacific Highway, the Halimbutu Koroba in Hela, Ramu Highway, New Britain Highway, Magi Highway, Sipik Highway. Talk about Magi Highway, I had the honor of being with the member for Abao and governor for Gulf at Paramana Village, and the member for Abao was telling us it used to take over 16 hours to travel from the Fedrest in its electorate into Kupiano and into the main Magi Highway. Today it has been lessened, that distance has been lessened by 8 hours. Whilst it may not be a super highway as yet, but it is work that has started in some of the forgotten parts of our country, and so we are working. We're not greedy. I want to thank the former finance minister is sitting on the other side. He had a hand in the element of fairness. I thank the Works Minister, despite many criticisms. I want to thank Treasurer Yenling Staki for his continued support to budget. And I want to thank all who worked to make sure that we spread the care to all parts of our country, not only targeting government areas or government districts, but all parts of our country. The last time I had, the people of Abao is my people too, by the fact that I'm their Prime Minister. If you look at, for instance, the member for Yelupanga, he goes on and on against me, but there's a crossing we're doing right now, one of the longest bridges. We're crossing over from Kuara LLG into Tindiwa Ward. It's happening as we speak. We also, it's not just because of him, but the Pangia people deserve that love and care too. And we're doing that. But more importantly, that road will bypass, open the south side of Pangia, and we're targeting that side access to the Kambia and Karamui people who are always been locked out and kept out. And we're working in all the missing links. There must be some connectivity. I just want to say something that touches my heart is people of Kantipa today and Myanmar. They may not have fancy places and environment, but they're people of our country. One time in 2020, I took a helicopter ride with Governor of Gulf and then Works Minister. I called them on a Sunday, unannounced, unplanned. Let's go for a chopper ride. We flew over that path. We touched down in Kantipa unannounced. Stepped out. The people met us. They were in tears. They said, we need road. Today as I speak, it is not a superhighway as yet, but for the first time, excavators have entered Kantipa and vehicles are now, four-wheel drive vehicles are moving to this place. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to give assurance. We will tidy the allegations of misuse, mismanagement in the works department sector. But please, whoever government come in place to after me, don't forget our people in the rural areas. They need to be lifted out of poverty. They need to be brought out into mainstream Papua New Guinea too. The overall program has achieved 20% of the 50% planned target, and I'm dismayed that we've achieved only 20% of the 50% planned targets, and whilst 30% or 2.4 billion worth of works remain outstanding under the Connect PNG phase, I want to say that we will keep on pushing on until all parts of our country are truly linked with enabling infrastructures. I want to move on to the other, if you look at page 13 in the Port 30-year infrastructure development plan. With the help of Australia government providing a 2.5 billion kina worth of projects to PNG Port, it supports the 30-year port infrastructure development program. We have invested 40 million to develop and upgrade maritime infrastructure, to open up missing links and promote connectivity in the maritime transport subsector plan, and a further 48 million for redevelopment of 4 major ports, and more intervention in that sector will keep on going. A port is a point of contact for export and transport. And I want to thank the Transport Minister, the Honourable Walter Snobelt, for a strong hand in this sector to make sure that this sector gets up and gets going. The National Shipping Service Program. In 2021, we established the National Shipping Service Program to help improve shipping services to our 15 maritime provinces. A total of 250 million kina has been appropriated to acquire up to 10 vessels to service the 3 maritime regions of our country, Omase, Southern and New Guinea Islands. 15 provinces and 37 districts depend on this, and a program has started. The District of Thalassia and North Bougainville are beneficiary to these programs. I want to thank the member for Pomio, who knew that this is an important need. His own district put down funding. For instance, we have MV Pomio 1, MV Pomio 2, and national government complemented his own district's investment with a Kina for Kina support. Today, this district is leading district in respect to transport sector, rural or coastal transport sector program. They got MV Pomio 1, MV Pomio 2 running. In the airports and rural sector, I want to say that, and I place on record my thankfulness to the Somali government for the TVWAN program, which the O'Neill government never compromised or never stopped. It supported, and when we came on board, we kept on supporting this one. We kept on supporting this one and its program, And Mr. Speaker, we've launched and opened the 578 million Kinanaja Tomodachi International Airport in partnership with the Japanese JICA fund. We've worked and we are paying off all the counterpart fundings of Momote Airport, Wainamo Airport, Keveng Airport, Mandi, Tari, and Wapamanda Medang Airport is in the process. We're looking at WeWork. Last time we launched the Geni project, and Hagen Airport restoration again is an ongoing work. Total all in all, 1.6 billion kina where the program is running in this airport and airstrip sector. I want to announce that interventions are going. We've now targeted not just the main airport, but also rural airstrip support program. And 4 major rural airstrips are being targeted to be assisted. They include airstrip in Pomio, and airstrip in Golala, and two other airstrips in our country. By 2027, we hope that 500 airstrips in our country would have been totally rehabilitated so that rural areas could be serviced. Mr. Speaker, I want to announce that the refleeting of Air Niugini is going on as we speak. Refleeting of Air Niugini is going on as we speak, and I want to apologize to the traveling public for the inconveniences caused in their travel. We are refleeting Air Niugini to complement the upgrade of our major airports. We're replacing the aging Fokker 100 aircrafts with much more bigger and economic Boeing aircrafts. We've spent over $300 million, 1.1 billion kina equivalent, in the purchase of 6 Airbuses A2020 for Air Niugini over the past 2 years to fully boost and improve its services by 2025. This refleet exercise is expected to be complete and launched during our 50th independence anniversary on September 16th, 2025. And I want to thank Minister Dumas' persistent effort and work in the sector. He has offered strong hands, and many think that he is not at work. For those who are in the government caucus, on Monday, the SOE sector will present to us the work they're doing in all sectors, including the progress in buying new aircraft for our country. And I want to announce that this has been one of the key works we are doing. In the National Electrification Rollout Program, we aim to achieve 70% of households by 2030. We have commissioned Dirio Power, launched Edawu Hydro Power Plant in 2023. Our state put over 110 million kina in power line from Edawu into Port Moresby, and we are working on linking other facilities in the Highlands, Lae, Medang, and Sepik to the main Ramu power grid. Similarly, we are setting up a high voltage 132 kV lines from Mount Hagen to Lae, upgrading from the 66 kV line today. And I want to announce that from Heights to Hagen, the 132 kV line that is currently on track is almost complete. Very soon, if we get power from Heights, we can electrify power from Heights, and that could supply Hela, Southern Highlands, and into Western Highlands, whilst the Ramu grid and the increased production Ramu grid continues to supply to Morobe, Medang, Eastern Highlands, and all the way up to Hagen and Western Highlands. So we got power from the east side and west side complementing and supporting the growth in the economy. Mr. Speaker, we're working with others in the energy sector, and I just want to point that you can read in detail in my statement. In the ICT space, substantial investment still remains in the ICT space. We have already established, for instance, 4,700 kilometers of Coral Sea cable system, high fiber capacity fiber optic cables connecting PNG with Australia and Solomon Islands at a total cost of 480 million. And we have invested 879 million into developing domestic Kumul submarine and the LNG fiber optic cables at a total cost of 157 million. Mr. Speaker, Telecom and B-Mobile merged in 2021 to cut costs. Telstra and Vodafone came on shore as a result of the liberalization of the market and will further lower delivery costs of digital services. Our plans are now to modernize and increase productivity with Telecom PNG, partnering with Huawei Technology to establish 15 data centers across PNG And Mr. Speaker, let me indicate that as technology emerges and services become available in this sector, we also are looking at how best we could upgrade, modernize, and also bring into bigger capacity in the telecommunication ICT space. Water and sanitation, Mr. Speaker, work is running in the water and sanitation sector. We're building partnership with provincial governments and landowners. I want to also indicate that over the next 5 years, district towns and key provincial towns in terms of the water service and installations will increase. We plan to implement over 550 million kina in the next 5 years. Work has been running. Towns like Kundiawa, we've restored water at a small step that has been outstanding for so long. We will work to ensure towns like Kundiawa, towns like Tari, towns like Barnes or Means, towns like Mendi and other smaller towns have water that is, and sanitation that is assisting them function. Mr. Speaker, on international relations, most of you know our country's work with international relations. We've had an elevated level of engagements with heads of governments and dignitaries. Our relationship with all nations we relate with, and new nations like Hungary and others cannot be further emphasized. We've related well with many nations. Most of them are economic partner nations to us. China, for instance, relates very well with us. USA relates very well with us. Australia, as usual, forever very strong support and partner. And I want to report to this House that the PNG relationship with our nations near and far and wide cannot be better, and we continue to maintain international dialogue, because in these dialogues, trade and trade conversations run deep in these exchanges with leaders. Mr. Speaker, I will now want to move to the education sector. If you look at page 17, early childhood, we did a policy amendment, policy shift rather, and early childhood is a focus of our government. The early childhood policy, Papua New Guinea was introduced in 2020, and we will make it's a significant push that we want to do. Proper early childhood as our citizens or our children get introduced into education in our country. We want to focus in this space, and our policy has been established. And we've now reduced, instead of having 3 years of elementary, we've just gone back to 1 year of early childhood learning, and we've gone back to the 166 structure, 1 year of early childhood, 6 years of primary, 6 years of secondary or high school. Mr. Speaker, the tuition fee subsidy remains, or tuition fee remains a key part of our government. I want to thank the O'Neill government. When they were in office, they started this. We had no intention to remove it. We came in, we looked at it and trends it. And today, for instance, in the 2023 budget, an appropriation of 766 million was made. We did release 396 million early in the first 6 months. And whilst the economy was struggling, we have never compromised release of money for the education sector. 2024, for instance, there are 851 million kina allocated in the budget, and we did subsidize 160 million. In fact, we assisted with 160 million of school project fee subsidy. This amount covers over 2.4 million children in our 13,097 registered schools who are receiving the school fee support. And I want to announce to our country that 62,822 teachers as of this year in the school opening. We had 62,820 teachers in employment right throughout our country. Mr. Speaker, as I speak, school fee has been remitted. As of Q1, 431 million has been remitted to schools, and at Q2 we released 210 million to all our schools nationwide, so school fee support has been up to par. Mr. Speaker, we did make strong intervention in the School of Excellence. I want to announce something that is small, but it warms my heart. is the work in the STEM curriculum. We've had a specific focus in the STEM curriculum, which was developed. It was developed, and I want to pay a special mention to a fine Papua New Guinean who's an example to many Papua New Guineans, Dr. Clement Waine, with no extra charge on his time, professional time. He did develop a world-class science and maths curriculum. That this curriculum is now being looked at by Australia to embrace. And I want to give you an indication of the STEM graduating class, the first STEM, the modern curriculum that we developed, the first graduating class of 2022, 220 of them graduated, 190 of them were selected to do studies in our universities in PNG. We did also, from this batch, picked up about 42 students we sent to USA in a trial program. Mr. Speaker, I want to announce, it's not in part of my speech, but these 42 students who went to USA last year, more than half of them, and they never went back, repeat maths and science, they went straight. Over half of them received President and Dean's Award straight. That shows that our curriculum that we tailored in-country, maths and science curriculum, is competent, and these students are doing very well at the universities in USA as I speak today. So, Mr. Speaker, some things are happening. They may not only, it's not only about oil, roads and bridges and all this sort of thing, but these programs that we are doing is showing that results can happen if Papua New Guineans and all in our structure of government and society work together. I want to announce that MOU has been signed with Chinese for students to go and study in China. MOU has also been signed with India, with Indonesia, and of course with Australia. The program to send students to go and study and work in Australia will open up in a big way. Mr. Speaker, something also close to my heart is the flexible open distance education. When I was Education Minister in 2010, we made this reform that matriculation in flexible open distance education can allow you to compete for higher education learning. I want to say that the FORD system has enrolled 35,513 students. In 2020, this enrollment figure has grown to 53,436 students in 2021. In 2022, the figure was 82,877. As I speak today from Education Department, the Second Chance Learning has given opportunity to more than 100,000 Papua New Guinean kids who are now going back to school to matriculate to grade 12. This is something that we want to promote in a big way. I encourage all members of Parliament to have a keen interest in bringing back all our children who are out there, out of school, to second chance learning. And after grade 12, we intend to make compulsory certificate at grade 12. And after grade 12, we link them to SME or working and study outside or inside the labor mobility program to work in Australia. USA also is looking at opening up for Papua New Guineans to also go to USA for study and work. All this, the compulsory certificate is grade 12 certificate, and I encourage all Papua New Guineans tuning in. Pick up second chance learning through the flexible open distance education. It is free, and go back to school. Mr. Speaker, I want to announce that our government successfully restructured education. It used to be 2, 6, and 4. The structure of lower education goes back now to 1, 6, 6, meaning that 1 year early childhood, 6 years primary, and 6 years secondary high school. That has been put in place. Mr. Speaker, Library and Archives report, there's a strategic plan launched already. I want all of you members of Parliament to have an interest in support to the library and archives sector. In the higher education sector, as I spoke earlier, Mr. Speaker, we've deliberately include the higher education loan program to support hackers and testers for our students who are entering universities and colleges. As you know, 30,000, 10,000, 15,000 school fee in our schools is hard for everyday Papua New Guinean parents, and we decide to put funding in that sector. I want to say that as we speak, substantial funding has gone out to children in our country. In 2023 alone, for instance, 36.68 million has been lended to over 6,800 students, and this keeps on increasing year by year. This year again we have money for the higher education loan program. Mr. Speaker, in the higher education and higher and technical education, as of 2023, there were 19,459 spaces available across all higher education institutions. This is an increase from 15,141 in 2022. The projected number of available higher education spaces in 2024 is above 22,000, more so 22,846. The number of spaces available in teachers and technical colleges since 2019 has been maintained at a 1,000 benchmark and above. The projections for 2024 to 2027 indicates that the number of available spaces at the teachers and technical colleges will increase. Mr. Speaker, we have shown that there's a growth in the TESA's support, demonstrated by consistent growth in student award and funding. In 2019, for instance, there were 11,281 students awarded 70 million kina. By 2023, the number of students, university students on TESA scholarship was 9,863, and non-universities, especially college students, was 8,597. By 2024, the number of student awards has increased to over 19,600, with a total funding of 83 million. That's an indication of population growth and support in the education sector keeps on growing. Mr. Speaker, all of us must focus in fostering support to education growth. We have started focused support in also ensuring that not only the undergraduate program and technical program, but we also want to prepare the postgraduate. This is, in our view, preparing Papua New Guineans to join the workforce to assist the economy. I want to quote, it's not in my speech, it's not written here, but I want to quote World Bank statistics. We were in a PNG economic review with World Bank in Hagen 4 weeks ago, and they said $98 invested in education will have a return to the economy, a generation return to the economy of $512, fourfold more than they invested. So, members of Parliament, this government or any government into the future, when they're talking about investing in education, let's not ignore this one. It is an economic investment. Properly trained Papua New Guineans can work here and work elsewhere. My government's standard of education focus is a world benchmark. I did say in my speech when I started this government again after 2022 election that education and health sector must subscribe to Western standard. And I want to say thank you for the work we've done. We're getting there, but not yet fully. In the health sector, I want to announce that the MTDB4 that we've launched focused that every health facility must be available or accessible to our people within an hour by walk, an hour by vehicle, an hour by boat, or an hour by plane. And we've started. I want to thank again the partnership and continuity. The O'Neill government has started some important programs earlier. We came in, we carried on and continued. Boram Hospital, for instance, a state-of-the-art facility that was delivered at a cost of 200 million. The Enga Hospital that has come, the O'Neill government started it. Our own government came in. We put in more than 200 million kina to bring it to a finished stage. The Enga Hospital that is now redeveloped with the help of the Australian government. We want to focus on Enga being our second cancer, our leading cancer facility in PNG to support Port Moresby General Hospital as a specialist hospital. I want to indicate in the health service sector development program, the Asian Development Bank supports this program with 41 health facilities, including community health posts, district hospitals, and health facilities. The programs that are running nationwide includes Bulolo, Watut, Mumeng, Umba in Minyama, Mutsing in Makam, West Taraka, Polyclinic, 10 City Level Hospital in Ley, Galum in East New Britain, and Bitapaga in East New Britain. District hospitals include Abunti, Pomio, that's recently complete, Bogi under construction, Buin District Hospital to commence soon. All these are funded with a 21.6 million grant by the Australian government. In the health center includes Gloucester in West New Britain Province, Agevaru in Central Province, Koroba, Lake Kopiago in Koroba Electorate. This construction is starting, and also Maramuni very soon will receive support. I want to also indicate a cancer facility in both Angao and Pomjen is on track. By next year, we will open the most modern cancer facility in this part of the world in the Angao Hospital. And I want to thank Dr. Lino for progressing work in this space. And I want to thank former Health Minister, now Fisheries Minister, the Honorable TVWAN, who was quite strong and instrumental in pushing this so that we go. By this time next year, this government committed to the country when we took office. By 2025, we don't want Papua New Guineans going overseas for kidney and cancer facilities. The solution, the diagnostics and operation facilities would be in our country. We 60% there as I speak and report to Parliament today. Healthcare. And we've invested, and I just give you an example, 6.8 million. It was complete already by December 2020. The machine that we procured at 7.4 million is assembled and installed in 2023. Kumul Petroleum was asked to help. They've come in help with a tune of 7.3 million kina. And construction is going total 55 million kina worth of help would have completed the entire specialist world-class cancer to address cancer-related issues in our country. Mr. Speaker, there's substantial work happening in the health sector. If you read in page 12, you can complete reading as to what we are doing in the health sector. I want to speak on the governance sector. Mr. Speaker, we have taken decisive law in the governance sector. Governments before us have tried, but this government, the Pangu-led coalition, delivered the independent organic law and independent commission against corruption in 2020. We committed in 2019 when I took office, this day 5 years ago, that we will deliver ICAC. And to the contrary debate by many, and many thought that we will not deliver ICAC. I want to thank all leaders who were with me 2019 up till today for the delivery of Independent Commission Against Corruption. Today it is up and running. Any issue on corruption, don't just report to Facebook. Facebook is not the prosecuting agency. Facebook is just for you to feel good to rubbish someone else. Report to ICAC. It is established already. Independent Commission Against Corruption looks not just at leadership, those of us who report to the leadership code, but looks at the public service, looks at the private sector who may be offering bribes, looks at those who do all sorts of corrupt-related activities. ICAC is fully functional, and I gave an assurance to this House and to my own government caucus that when ICAC is set up, it will be run by overseas people who we have no relation to. I want to state that the three commissioners, the commissioner and two deputy commissioners rather, persons of high integrity and value and substance, men of law in their own rights. They have come in from Australia and New Zealand, and at the moment ICAC is being operationalized. This time next year, we hope some prosecution has been put to the table. I want to also give support, appreciate all leaders on both sides who support ICAC and pass the ICAC law. We also include the Whistleblowers Act amendment, the unexplained wealth provisions. We like to clear law unexplained wealth provisions. The country Masawe. People passing the law. So I was one man. Fortnight blogging and this level, but them live this blog and lifestyle. Then ICAC or anyone can ask him, how you got 10 VX? How you got this awesome stuff? And law passing finish. Law straight him now. ICAC can question him. Suppose one play live beyond his level of income. We like talk to law Bougainville, we play passing finish, Imikisim office, Bougainville, one play issue facing Mipla. We could not have run away from this issue. We were time bound. Within 15 years of the Bougainville Peace Agreement, we must deliver the referendum. There were issues that we could have used to stall the Bougainville referendum, but this government felt it that we owe it to the people of Bougainville that referendum must go ahead, and we allowed for referendum to go ahead. At the moment, let me announce that there are some technical issues in relation to the manner and mode in which the referendum results were brought into the Parliament, and we're going through with JSB, with the Autonomous Bougainville government leadership and us. We're finally looking for a moderator to facilitate the last round of talk before the results are brought into the Parliament. I want to also give you all my assurance, if I could ask that this Parliament embrace most of, get into the handset. Most of my speeches that is here, I note that we've taken so much of your time. I want to speak at page 24, something that is very close to my heart. Since 2019, we've worked to increase support to the judiciary and to the ministerial services. Is one sector in the judiciary that has received great support from us. Chief Magistrate Pupaka and his team has been working very hard. I want to commend the AG, the Honorable Pilan Inigi, for his support today. For the first time, we've now put our village court officials over 1,640 village court areas that embraces 18,480 village court officials in the country for the first time into regular salary, and they at work, something that has never been done before. At the foundation, we're anchoring our village court officials. We've also increased support to the ministerial services. Before they were paid, before I took government, ministerial services were getting under 6 million kina a year, allocation to keep them running. In 2022, we allocated them 51 million. In 2023, we allocated them 91 million. Today, most support has gone to them. Why am I making these statistics known? These are areas that make our maintenance of law and order work. These are important structures of judiciary that dispense justice to our people. I want to also indicate to the country that we've made substantial intervention in the higher court. Thank you yesterday for supporting government, both sides of the House, for passing the court restructure, with the appellate court being introduced into the middle and elevating Supreme Court higher. Knowing that this might come, or whatever it may be, we increased judges from 40 to 60, and now we've increased it to, in between, we could recruit judges from 60 to 200 working with the JLSC. But increased support to the judiciary has been increased consistently. If you look at page 24, in my speech, you would see the level of disbursements to the judiciary from 2018 all the way up till today, consistent intervention in the law and justice sector space, especially judiciary. I want to point to us that we've worked with the Royal PNG Constabulary to ensure not just the rank and file, but the leadership training in the Royal PNG Constabulary is taking place. Our work with the Australian government in terms of the bilateral security agreement entails and focus especially in ensuring that police is given the right capacity to handle law and justice sector, handle law and order issues going forward. For the first time now, you saw the graduating class of first recruits in Bomana last Friday, and recruits will be ongoing as we speak. Today, as I speak, the current ratio of citizen to police is 1 to 18,000. 1 to about 18,000. We want to bring this ratio down to a better ratio so that there should be more police in community. I want to encourage all members of parliament, assist the police in ensuring that their resources is not compromised, sabotaged. We need to give more resources to police. Recruitment of police will still be going on. We're working with the Australian government. There's a 24 million kina investment in Bomana National Centre of Excellence, modern police training facility to ensure modern, updated training of police. It keeps on going all the time. And we want to build police to 10,000 manpower police by 2030, and this work will still be running as I speak. Mr. Speaker, we have substantially invested more in supporting disbursements of funds to the districts and to the province. In our budget alignment, you would see that if you see the component of administration provincial sector disbursements, provinces and districts have received more funding in the last 5 years than any other governments. I expect that all of you are at work. I expect that your delivery is targeted towards retiring our expectations of MDDP 4. Our expectations of MDDP 4 will contribute to our national vision, Vision 2050. Mr. Speaker, we have established the Bipartisan Committee on Autonomy and Decentralization. And this work is in progress. I want to indicate to all governors, whilst it may be slow, but for the first time it has been elevated and stepped up. I want to thank the Minister in that sector, Minister the Honourable Soroi Oi, for a strong work and leadership in that space. Thank you very much for your leadership. We're looking forward to the conclusion of this work at the very earliest. We are currently operationalizing the 7 new districts or the electorates based on the electoral boundaries report of 2021. We also know that other electorates are coming up in 2027, and we are working towards make sure they're easily facilitated and resourced as we go post 2027. Mr. Speaker, I want to apologize, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that I have spoken long, but I felt that some of what I have tried to summarize an indication of where we are. These 26 pages, these 27 pages may be long, but doesn't entail everything that we are doing. We are trying our absolute best. The economy, whilst it is not yet there, we've made some progress. The education sector, whilst it is not yet 100% there, we've made some progress. The health sector, while it is not yet fully developed, we've made some progress. In the infrastructure sector, we try to be fair on all parts of our country, and we are trying our absolute best. If we walk in this path going forward, by the time we arrive this time 10 years from today, the country will be in a better place with a better infrastructure. In tough times, managing COVID-19, living through with politics at every turn, working with public service that is mostly weakened, influenced by inefficiency and political, many of the politics that we are faced with all the time. The last 5 years has never been easy, but nonetheless, we've tried our best to hold composed. Mr. Speaker, I move that my entire speech be accepted into the handset, and leaders of Parliament, I have spoken long, at a convenient time can pick up on the debate and speak on areas they feel that we have done not so well. Both sides of the House are entitled to debate on this, so that we offer suggestive, constructive debates that will assist the executive government function on to make PNG a better place than where we are living in today. Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, this is no ordinary time. I know we're speaking in the face of potential vote of no confidence. All members of Parliament are entitled to pass judgment on the incumbent leadership. It is within the rights of all members of Parliament as representatives of their people. You have the right to pass judgment. The alternate leadership on the table and the team of leadership will be placed through the due process. Now, 5 years we've tried our very best in hard times. Wasn't good, easy time, but rather hard times. And the report that we are sending out, including the fullest report, will be out on the website, and Marape Rosso coalition government's 5-year anniversary result will be also posted out for everyone to have a read and assess, and make your own judgments, make your own criticisms and commentary, but please offer support where you can. No districts in our country can complain they have not been resourced. No province in our country can complain they have not been resourced. Whilst you, Arthur, complain to the national government, ask yourself, what have you done in your own area of responsibility? And together, we construct to make PNG a better place. Mr. Speaker, with this, I ask and move that my speech, my entire speech in its entirety, be made part of our handset. Thank you.
Is leave granted? Leave granted. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Prime Minister's speech be heard on a subsequent seating.
Honourable Member, the Speaker, I have recognized the Leader of Government Business, so I'll allow the Leader of Government Business to continue.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Prime Minister's speech be heard on a subsequent seating, and because it's such an important speech that I ask that all members go through the headset and can be debated on a subsequent seating. Speaker.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I ask leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Point of order.
Mr. Acting Speaker, this is a very important statement that the Prime Minister has made on a 5-year tenure. How can you adjourn debates, Mr. Speaker?
Honourable Member for Finsafen.
For one, Mr. Acting Speaker, for one, the country has seen that we have done this. We need to be able to contribute. You can't further debate on this, and you can't put it to the next session, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Finsafen. The Chair have already recognized that the Prime Minister have moved and the Leader of Government Business have moved. Parliament have agreed that the statement of the Prime Minister will be debated in the later date of session. Therefore, I will assure the House that I do assure the House that this motion will be the paper will be brought back in the order of the day, that this can be allowed for debate. As the Leader of Government Business said, Honourable Opposition Leader, you resume your seat while the Speaker is talking. And I made it very clear to the House that this House will still debate on this as the motion have already been agreed to. And I assure the House, as the Speaker of Parliament, that we will bring this in the order of the next session that we all debate. As the Leader of Government Business have deliberately made it clear for all of us to go through the paper, read through, and you have prepared yourself to bring a good debate on this. I've already made a ruling and the motion have been agreed to. Honourable members, Leader of Government Business have moved that the Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Mr. Robert Naguri be discharged as member of Permanent Parliamentary Committee on National Parliament, and that Mr. Chris Havetta be appointed member of the committee.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I seek leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Is the leave granted? Aye. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament adjourn to Tuesday, 4th of June at 10 a.m.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable members, Leader of Government Business. We got point of order.
Yesterday, that the Wong motion is alive.
Honourable member for Abao, the motion here is to adjourn to Tuesday 4th, which it's not avoiding your vote of no confidence motion. We will still have that. The committee will still deliberate on this on Wednesday. Honourable Leader of Government Business. Order. 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 Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the Parliament at this rising adjourn until Tuesday, 4th June 2024 at 10 o'clock a.m.
Honourable Leader of Government Business, you rephrase your motion.
I move that Parliament adjourn till Tuesday, 4th at 10 a.m.
The motion is that the question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Honourable members, I now adjourn Parliament to Tuesday, 4th at 10 o'clock a.m.